Welcome to Duck Season Somewhere podcast. This episode is brought to you by the following sponsors. For 365 days a year, it's duck season somewhere at Ramsey Russell's GetDucks.com. The world of duck hunting is way bigger than our backyard. The very best duck hunts in Argentina and Mexico are only the beginning. We specialize exclusively in 6 continents worth of proven waterfowl hunting adventures. Whether you're looking for a unicorn species or a fun trigger pulling vacation of epic proportion, we've got the right hunt dialed in. Real duck hunts and authentic experiences for serious duck hunters. As a genuine American duck hunter myself, I know the difference. Founded in 2003, GetDucks.com is not just what we do, it's all we do. I've been there personally many times. Our reputation speaks for itself. Anita and I are personally available to assist before, during, and after your trip because you deserve nothing less. Looking for something closer to home? The next great hunt is closer than you think. Contact proven operators throughout the U.S. and Canada at our U.S. hunt list. Explore worldwide duck hunting at GetDucks.com. All package details, photos, videos, stories, and thousands of client testimonials right there at your fingertips. GetDucks.com. Ball Shot Shell's copper-plated bismuth tin alloy is the good old days again. Steel shots come a long way in the past 30 years, but will never, ever be like good old-fashioned lead. No way. Say goodbye to all the gimmicky, high recoil, compensation, science, and marketing hype, and hello to superior performance. Know your pattern, take ethical shots, make clean kills. That is the boss way. The good old days are now. It really is duck season somewhere for 365 days per year. Duck season somewhere takes me year-round to worldwide destinations where I visit with the most interesting people. I'm your host, Ramsey Russell. Join me here to listen to those conversations. This is Ramsey Russell, Get Ducks. It's duck season somewhere. I guess a lot of you guys right now, while this is being recorded, are out chasing ducks. I'm actually out chasing duck hunters. I am at Dallas Safari Club. This is our 10th year, in fact, Dallas Safari Club. Just imagine, 50 to 60 or 70,000 square foot of every hunt on earth you could possibly imagine in a super nice environment. I'm at the booth. The show doesn't open for a couple of hours, and I'm at the booth with today's guest, Mrs. Martha Ciaffoni from Argentina. Now, you guys that have actually hunted with us down in Argentina, y'all know Martha. And you guys that may not have hunted with us but have looked over our website through our testimonials for La Paz and that very remote hunt, Rio Salado, you've certainly seen her name. You know, Martha Ciaffoni. Everybody loves Martha. I tell everybody, you know what, when you go on these trips, you don't need to speak Spanish. You just need to know 2 words. Martha. She'll fix everything. I thought to have her as a guest today because we have been working together. We figured out at breakfast for 11 years. 11 years she has been my boots on the ground down in Argentina. She's a problem solver and a fixer. But it wasn't, it's not always the rosy, fun picture you imagine there, in social media. She and I have had some pretty challenging times down in Argentina behind the scenes. Martha, how are you this morning?
Good. I'm ready for a show.
Yeah, I know you're ready for a show. She comes up here all the way from Argentina to help us out every year. Martha, to kick this thing off, you're not a hunter. You go out there with my guest and you shoot. I've seen you shoot birds, and I've seen you out there hunting because you get up in the mornings a lot of times and go with these guys. But how did you get into this business? How did you and I end up meeting? How did you get into this business?
Well, I'm a translator. I was in college in Cordoba, where all the doves are. And I started working for a guy there in Cordoba. And, I'm a people person.
You're a people person.
I was like made for this show. And we started working with Facundo. And then a couple of years later, I realized that he was not pointing at the same target that I was pointing. I worried about people, and suddenly I met you and Anita, and
he was one of those outfitters that really give the industry a bad name from what I gathered.
Yeah.
And actually, when I met you, you were working for another, quote, agent, unquote, that I didn't really care for off the top of my head. And then we got sideways. Look, guys, when we met, I kind of started working through a hunt, through another guy like myself, only one like myself, and things got real sideways. And on the organization of that hunt, over the money of that hunt, because of, just some of the unscrupulous stuff that was going on at the time. And Martha and I got on the phone one day, and my wife was clear across the house, and she heard Martha's voice get emotional over the stressful situation. And now, mind you, this is the first conversation I've ever had with this lady. And my wife, just like, how women hear a baby crying, and they come running across the house to see what's going on. Man, need to come busting in the office to listen to this conversation. And I told Martha, we'll get it worked out. Don't worry. We'll get this handled, because, we had been on this particular hunt. We wanted to represent this hunt. It is now easily one of our most famous hunts in the world, La Paz combo down in Argentina. And in the upcoming months, we did get it sorted. The clients did go have a great time. The rest is history, as they say. But I actually told...
We had a volcano explosion.
Oh,
Remember?
gosh, I've forgotten all about that. Hey, just when you think you've seen it done and all in the world of duck hunting, you go to meet the lady you're fixing to hire as your representative, and we were on our way to Argentina, and a major volcano went off down in Chile. The wind is prevalently out of the southeast. It blew soot and smoke. It looked like fog. It looked just like a foggy day in Buenos Aires, but it shut down the entire airspace because jets don't like to fly when there's volcanic ash up in the air. It damages their turbine motors. But I had told Anita when I was going down there, I said, you know what, I'm going to meet this lady, and if she is half of what she comes across in person, I'm going to make her an offer she can't refuse. We need to hire somebody like that in Argentina. And how long did we spend in Buenos Aires that time?
Oh, my God. We got stuck in Buenos Aires.
We got stuck. And you were worried about me because I had taken a real cheap hotel in a bad part of town.
But the minute you jump in the cab, you start talking like you always do. And I was looking at you and I was like, there's no way I can work for him. I don't get a word of what he's saying. And then you suddenly took a breath. And I was like, okay, just give me a minute, go all over again, and slow down.
She understood English. She just didn't understand my English. I've got a face for radio and an accent for Andy Griffith, if that. And she had a very hard time understanding my accent at the time, is what she's trying to say. And wow, that just 11 years ago was a long time. But we ended up spending a week.
I think it was a week
in Buenos Aires. I think she was staying at her apartment, and I was staying in a real seedy part of town, a seedy hotel. It was that part of town I stayed in was so scary that the staff would run outside. If I opened the door to go outside, they would run outside and look both ways and kind of form a barricade between me and the restaurant because they were so scared I'd get knocked off in that part of town. Martha was scared to death for me too. She'd text me and say, "Are you okay? Have you got the door locked?" And of course I'm fine. Nobody messed with a Southern boy in that part of town. I got lucky that year. And then we went up to La Paz.
Yeah.
And we began to put it together.
Yeah.
And
you met all the team. You met Osvaldo, Karen, Diego, everybody.
And see, guys, that's a very monumentous time in the history of GetDucks.com, because it really that meeting with that staff transformed our business model, because they never had American clients. It was a absolute fantastic combo hunt, but they had never had American clients. They'd had a few Spaniards, they had a few Italians,
French,
and I never will forget. They opened up a notebook one night after dinner and they said, "We've never had American hunters. Tell us exactly how you want this program to be." Well, I had been in business for 10 years at that time. I thought I knew what American hunters wanted out of this hunt. and I knew American hunters don't want to come in and eat at 10 or 11 o'clock at night like Argentines and French and Italians do. They want to eat at 6 or 6:30, and they want to have drinks, and they want to go to bed, and then they want to get up and go hunt again. And we laid this program out, and this wonderful staff really has kind of pulled it off. We customized this program, partly why it's so successful. But I was smart enough to know right off the get-go to include Martha. She is our translator. She is the
babysitter.
She is the babysitter. She is the therapist. She is the nurse practitioner. She is the concierge for all of these clients, and it made my life a lot better. So I wanted to talk to her today so that y'all could get a feel about, who she is and how we work with her. One thing I will tell you, and I say this very humbly, I ask her and Anita all the time why they keep me around at GetDucks.com, because really and truly, these two ladies are the brains of the operation. They really make things happen on the ground. Martha, what is the, and excuse me, I just wanted to say this, that I feel like y'all seeing an Argentine hunt or a hunting experience through her eyes and what she's seen over the years versus just what I tell you it is, would give it just a little depth and share just a little insight on why these hunts are so good and why me and you and anybody listening we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with. We're only as good as the team we put together. And Martha's an integral part of my team down in Argentina and here at Dallas Safari Club and Safari Club International and elsewhere. Martha, what is the, in all the years you've been working with us, what is the craziest thing you've seen? What's the craziest thing you think you've seen or done with a group or clients or just something you could share?
I don't know if there's a craziest or better or worse thing. I think I've seen it all. I've seen people that want to go to a fortune teller. I've seen people that lost their heart medication, and I found myself in front of a pharmacist who didn't speak English, translating drugs and important medication. I found myself in front of people who lost their passport on their departure day and had to rush to the American embassy and get a temporary passport so they could leave the country. But I think that what I've seen at the very beginning of it is that we have all kinds of clients. We have very wealthy clients, and we have people that had saved all their lives to go on a hunting trip to Argentina. So my point is, we really gotta give them the best chance to experience it. So let's give them what they are looking for, and it's the dream come true. So
that's right.
So that's what we all do. That's why we take the best pictures we can so they can take them back with them. We give them whatever they want. If it is a fortune teller, why not?
Well, I was going to, in case you didn't mention that, I was going to actually ask you true or false question. Had you ever been asked to take a client to a fortune teller? What was that all about? What was that experience like? What was it like going to a fortune teller in Argentina? Because I've kind of been thinking I might need to go myself. What is that all about?
Well, it was he didn't dare to ask me for that at the beginning. I could tell that he was trying to tell me something. But, a couple of days later, he said, "Can I ask you for a favor?" And I said, "Sure. Just let me know what you need." And he said, "Can we get a fortune teller?" And I thought he was joking. I was like, "For real?" And he said, "Yeah, I want to know what she sees in the cards or whatever." And so we started looking for a fortune teller in the little town.
Was it hard to find in Argentina?
I think there were 2 in that town. And only one of them came to the lodge. And so I had to translate.
Well, how did that go?
I think it was a joke because she was a big liar. She was
a
like,
liar. Of course she was lying. She's a fortune teller.
This is the first thing she said was like, "You are on this trip because you're looking for some answers." And then then she goes, "Oh, there's this woman. Of course, there's a woman."
Named Martha.
No, she was talking
okay.
about his fiancée, his girlfriend. I don't know, and she kept talking about this lady who, of course, didn't exist, and he was like really focused on that, and I'm like, oh my God, just stop lying. Just and anyway, it was fun. It was like it was a different ride.
Yeah, it's and talking about the passports and firearm licenses, and
Oh God, yeah.
it's not like leaving Mississippi and going to Arkansas to duck hunt for the weekend. You are going a long way from home, and you might lose your hunting license or your driver's license or your billfold in a bar in Arkansas, but when something happens in Argentina, all of a sudden you're in a foreign country without paperwork that you need to board the flight back home or to get into the United States, or you're in a country and you have firearms but you don't have legal paperwork. That's not good.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you, having the right person that I'm working with, like Martha, that can fix these problems, is always a good thing. It makes my life easy, and it makes the client's experience better. A lot of what I saw in Argentina were the way a lot of these Argentine operations are conducted. You're met at the airport by somebody who greets you and takes you to a van, and that's the last you see the person that greeted you, because she was just a contract hire. And then you're transferred hours to a lodge, and that's the last time you see the driver, because he was just a contract hire, like a taxi. And you're greeted by one set of staff, and then you're passed on to another set of staff, and another set of staff, and another set of staff, and you go shoot a few birds, and you're back at the airport and you're gone. And there really wasn't a lot of continuity in that experience. I felt like what was really missing, that we tried to build into our experiences, was some continuity. We needed somebody that could greet our clients and get them through customs if there were issues, help them get their guns through customs if there were issues, help get them on a van, help get them, be their translator. If they had a problem, well, I don't like my guide, or I don't like eating chicken for dinner, or I need a different wine, or
I want a different mattress. I don't
want
like
a different
the shower.
mattress. I need a different
everything.
shower pressure.
I mean everything.
Everything. Martha. Hey.
Yeah.
Because hey, like we've talked about before, this business is hunting, but this business is really hospitality and a people business, and that's where we found Martha. Martha, do you remember how long ago was it that we went and quote discovered unquote Rio Salado? How long ago was that? Because that was the real proving ground in our relationship.
Yeah.
Most stressful week of my life, or 10 days of my life.
I thought you were ready to get rid of me. It was like 9 years ago.
I was ready to be a Walmart greeter about midway through that hunt. That was a tough experience.
Oh my Lord, yeah.
And so what happened is, I went to Argentina during the off season, and parts of Argentina have a depredation season in the rice fields. And I was just going to come down here and explore and kick around and go and look and explore and look at some stuff. And I had a couple of clients that, hey, we want to go with you. We want to do that real Ramsey stuff. And Martha and I set it up, and she was going to be our translator, and we were going to go to a couple of places, and we were going to do some stuff. And the federal government had changed. Since we had booked our flights, the time we showed up, they had changed some firearm importation laws that nobody was aware of except for them. And we went from plan A to plan B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, in about a 10 or 15 day period. And it was probably one of the most stressful but memorable events of my life. Do you remember that, Martha?
Yeah, I mean, I had this place in mind for a while, but just to mention Santa Fe for you was enough. So you said, no, I'm not going back to Santa Fe. There are no ducks there. I don't want to go. So we started in Cordoba. We toured around a little bit, and then wind in Santa Fe.
Well, there's ducks in Santa Fe. The problem is I had been to Santa Fe 3 times, and
Yeah, I know.
for example, I'd say 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 of the Argentine outfitters sitting here on the convention today are from Santa Fe, and they're right there in San Javier, right on the river. And it's very, very cookie cutter. If you want to go have a mediocre duck hunt in Argentina, by all means, go to that part of Santa Fe. And I'd been 3 times, and I just said, this is not at all the hunting experience I want. So when you said, let's go to Santa Fe, I'm like, nope, not going, not ever going back to Santa Fe. It's a shit show. I won't ever go back to that part of the province. Well, we found ourselves there, but we found ourselves in a 130 square mile marsh in the middle of nowhere. And I walked out the first morning. I walked a quarter mile in ankle deep muck out into the marsh, and I witnessed something I had not seen in 15 or more years of going to Argentina and around the world. Wild birds in a wild place, more ducks than I'd ever dreamed of. And when I got back to the lodge, Martha came out and said, how did it go?
Yeah, because I was nervous. I didn't have my waders with me, and I was not able to go to the field. So I woke up that morning, which I usually sleep in the morning, but I woke up that morning and I was so worried about you and your hunting that when you came back and you said, I want my ashes scattered there, I finally read.
Yeah. And that, it sounds terrible, but it's really how I describe that particular hunt. Is all these years later, that became our Rio Salado destination. The 2 clients I was with, who just thought they wanted to do real Ramsey Russell stuff and exploring, until we had to roll with some unforeseen obstacles and some stuff like that. It was the best duck hunt they had ever experienced in their lives too. They became lifelong clients just on that couple of days there in Rio Salado, and I knew I had found something special. And I really, to this day, I want my ashes scattered in that wild marsh. Not in a drought year, I'm going to tell you. In a very, very wet year like it has been the last couple of seasons. But, hey, speaking of wet.
Wet.
The thing about getting to this particular place, it's a long ways. You can't hardly get there from here. You leave Buenos Aires, you drive for an hour and a half. Now you're outside of the city of Buenos Aires, which is the 4th largest city in the world. And you drive and you drive and you drive, and you can play on your phone and, play on Wi-Fi and play on Facebook and everything you want to until about the last 2 hours. And the last hour in a dry or average year, the last hour down a dirt road. And I don't mean a gravel road. I mean dirt, like a turn road in a soybean field. Dirt. If it's been raining, it's mud. And sometimes it only takes an hour to get down the road. Sometimes it takes much longer. When we got into Rio Salado that first time, this is getting up to one of my most memorable events in GetDucks.com history. That involved Martha. Now,
all covered in mud.
Now understand, for the previous week, we'd been rolling and punching and going and doing and dealing with the government and some other stuff. For example, we were sitting with the clients, we were shooting pigeons on about the 3rd or 4th stop we'd ever done, and I was very, very, very content, very relaxed, and I finally had an appetite, was eating a little bit, and Martha got a phone call. I don't know how she got a phone call. We were at a cafe I'd never been to, she'd never been to, nobody had ever been to, but somehow she got a phone call. And I was sitting there just snacking away, and I don't know what we were eating, probably steak, and I looked up. Like you feel like somebody's looking at you, and you kind of look over. I felt something. I looked over, and I looked through the kitchen door into the kitchen, and Martha was on the phone, and I could tell by the look on her face that we were on to another plan. Something had changed. Something was, something bad had happened or something unexpected had happened, and I lost my appetite immediately.
We had to change from plan B to plan Z.
Yeah, we had changed plans again, explained to the clients. They were getting a little frustrated at that time. But hey, this is what you signed up for, guys. This is real Ramsey stuff here. It wouldn't have been stressful at all had I not had these clients with me. I'd have just, drank another beer and gone on with the flow, let it work out.
And we were sweating. It was.
It was hot.
God.
It was, because it's off season, right? It's like spring and summer. But okay, so we go and we hunt Rio Salado for the first time. The clients are absolutely loving it. I'm loving it. I knew after 3 days that I had found something truly special in Argentina, for which I give Martha credit for steering me that way. I'm telling you right now, she led me this way. And it's raining, and it's been raining. Every afternoon it's been raining. It's been raining so hard that it would knock the power out.
Yeah.
And if the air conditioner wasn't blowing at night, it was hot. And but it rained, and it rained, and it rained. First time I'd ever been here, I didn't know about this muddy road. I just knew it was a dirt road. I hadn't seen the muddy road part of it yet, but it'd been raining for 3 days solid. And we got out, and we loaded up our baggage into the back of the truck. The clients all got in. Martha got in the back seat. So it's 2 clients, myself, the owner, David, and Martha. And the one thing I just noticed but didn't really take stock of at the time was David threw a shovel in back of the truck.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it until halfway out. We got stuck. I don't mean just a little stuck. We got
Deeply.
It was like a hipped up dirt road, hipped up like a watermelon road, just hipped up tight, slick. And as we were going, we started sliding. He's a great driver. Don't get me wrong. He downshifted and got it good into third gear to get that low end torque going. And it didn't matter we were sliding over towards this ditch. It was full of grass, and I just feel like had we fallen off into that ditch, I couldn't see the bottom, but I don't feel like you'd still be able to see that truck all these years later. I believe we'd have just disappeared and been swallowed into the earth. So we stopped, and myself and the client and everybody got out, and what we did is we got up along the edge of that ditch, and we pushed the side of the truck so that as he was gaining traction going forward, it wouldn't continue to careen off into this 10 or 15 foot deep ditch. And it wasn't working. And by now we're covered with mud. And we don't know what we're going to do. One of the clients is 80, 90 years old, right? He's no help whatsoever. And he's not feeling well. So he's in the front seat of the truck. And David gets out, and he looks at the one client who is built like Mr. Clean, weightlifter, power lifter. We obviously need him. He looks at me. I'm the guy. He looks at Martha. She's the girl. Well, he asked Martha, "Can you drive?" She goes, "No."
Nope. No way.
Well, that was kind of a surprise. What kind of 30-something-year-old woman don't know how to drive a truck? Okay, but
I would never drive there.
Well, I understand. I get that. I would never drive in Buenos Aires traffic ever. Lines down in Buenos Aires and painted lines and yellow lines and white lines and dotted lines. That's just
Suggestions.
That's just a decoration. That ain't really nothing you pay attention to down there when you're driving. And so he looked at me and he says, "Can you drive a stick shift?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I get in, and the 3 of them start pushing, and I go first, second, third, fourth gears, quick as I can. I finally hit that low end torque, 4th gear. And next thing you know, I'm 100 yards down the road, sitting in the middle in the crown of the road, sitting there. Woohoo! We're out. And I jump out, man, ready to high five everybody, and all I see is white eyeballs. Everybody else is covered in mud. I mean, covered head to toe in mud.
And my leg was broken.
Your leg was not broken. Don't
It was
exaggerate.
twisted. I had to wear a plaster cast for 40 days.
I do not ever remember seeing you wear a plaster cast.
Because you were gone home.
You're not exaggerating,
pictures.
Are you?
No, I'm not.
Well, it was.
I twisted my ankle.
I appreciate that was donated to a good cause. Because by the time we get out of this middle of nowhere place, understand, we've been stuck for hours.
Yeah.
And we finally get out.
It was like 3 hours.
And it's downpouring rain. And we drive up to the blacktop. We swap cars. We get picked up by another associate. He stopped somewhere on the side of the road at a washroom, and we have just enough time to bathe off in a men's room sink. I remember bathing my Crocs off in like one of them little buckets that you use the windshield wipers with. You dip your windshield squeegee in and change clothes. And we made it to the airport just in the nick of time.
It was crazy.
We were soaking wet. We were filthy. I woke up that morning at 3 o'clock in the morning to go brush my teeth or something on the plane.
I was going to mention that.
And I looked in the mirror and I still got mud in my eyebrows and mud caked up in my ear. And nobody said a word. I guess when somebody gets on a plane smelling and looking like that, you don't say nothing, you know. But I knew right then, you know, I knew that hunt was a success. And those clients were happy. And in no small part to how Martha responded and how she was able to translate and keep this ball rolling. And I knew right then that this relationship was going to be a very very meaningful relationship in terms of the kind of help we get. Martha, in having dealt with all these clients, if you had to differentiate between a good client and a bad client, or a prepared client and an unprepared client, how would you describe that to somebody that's never traveled to a foreign country or to Argentina? Like, just based on your personal experiences.
I always expect duck hunters to be there, but sometimes some guys are there and they had never killed a duck in their lives, so they don't know what duck hunting is. And they don't bring any waders, they're not ready for water, get in the water. Yeah, but I've learned that we need to be ready for all of them. So some guys come and say, "Oh, Martha, I didn't bring any kind of boots or waders," or so we try to be ready for those and get some at the lodge, help them with their gear. Some guys don't know what camo is, and they want to go hunting on, white shirts, red shirts, and I'm like, nope. But anyways, we try to be ready for everybody. We try to be ready for those guys that they cannot sleep at night because they know they're going to go duck hunting in the morning and they're so excited. So we try to be ready for them. We try to have coffee earlier in those cases. I don't think there are difficult or impossible people to deal with. Even though I had some hard times, I can put up with everything. I've noticed that I can be very patient with some people. I had a group one time. The youngest was 80 years old.
Wow.
And they don't want to get wet, but they want to kill ducks. They forgot all their gun paperwork in their bags before we had to check with the police. So you just got to be patient and know that people are different and they're having vacation and they're having their time of their lives. So you got to cope with that and try to do your best. But I always ask them to let me know if they have any health issues, if we need a special diet. I get all kinds of questions too. Sometimes they want to know if we have bumpy roads, if they're going to need...
Yes, the answer is yes. There are bumpy roads in Argentina.
Always, yeah. If they need... Some guys bring 4 suitcases. And
oh boy, yeah.
They don't understand that they don't need that. We have laundry service. We can help them
every
with that.
day.
Yeah. So I try to get in touch with them before the trip, and we can get to details and get everybody on the same page and have fun.
I feel like the people that show up and don't bring the right waders or boots or gear, that they didn't take full advantage of our very reputable pre-trip, because we put a lot of information on paper. Maybe they don't want to read those 4 pages, and myself and you and Anita are available at any time before, during, and after the hunt. And we do have a lot of clients that, especially repeat clients, that realize they can text or call or WhatsApp you, or email one of us and get all the information they need. I've always felt like the very best thing I can do to help a client is to increase his powers of enjoyment. So that when he shows up, he's got the right gear, he's there at the right time, and he's got the right attitude, right expectations of what he has gotten himself into. It's not foolproof. I just had a client go king eider hunting and it was a lot more challenging and difficult than he had expected. I wish I'd sent him to Argentina instead. But anyway, Martha, what is because you truly are a people person. We're sitting here at Dallas Safari Club. We leave here in a few weeks and we go to Safari Club International, and countless will be the people in the next 4 days that come into the booth looking for Martha. and a lot of them are going to be non-hunting spouses, but a lot of them are going to be clients too, because you've helped them out and a real friendship has formed. What is your very favorite thing about what you do? Because you've got to like what you do, good times and bad, but you've got to overall like it to be good at it. What do you really love about your part of this job?
I get into people as much as they get into me, into myself. So we create bonds. It's more than just a business sometimes, because sometimes people get to the lodge and they start talking to me and they tell me very personal stuff that I treasure, of course, and I go the same way.
You're almost like a psychologist in that way. I've noticed that.
Well, sometimes
because you're a very good listener.
I find people's lives very interesting. So whatever they have to tell me, like, I don't know if it's a fortune teller news or whatever she may say, I think it's interesting because something has caused them to get to that point.
Yeah.
So people's lives are interested, and I like the details. I like to listen, and I don't give advices. I don't judge anybody. So I just listen, and they listen to me too. So we create bonds. It's funny that I get to America and I get invitations of all different states, all different places. You gotta come see us. I don't have time to do it. I need years to do it, and I would love to visit all of them.
Right.
But we create really, really strong bonds. And I remember all of them in all these years. And I may forget about some names, but as soon as I see their faces, a lot of memories come into my mind.
Yeah. You've got a phone full of photographs. You've got a memory like a steel trap. You seem to remember all these clients. And you brought up a good point about your interactions with these clients, because oftentimes pick a hunt down there at Rio Salado. I host them every year or most years, and I get to meet clients in camp for a week or two, maybe 3 at a time. But what I've noticed is you and other guides and outfitters I work with, you really get to know the clients a lot more personally than I do. I talk to them on the phone, I help them out. We might small talk a little bit. But usually when they call me, they're at the office or in between Little League ball games, and, life back home is happening. But, countless of the times I'm talking to you about a client, you're like, well, did you know so-and-so invented such and such, or got this award in hunting, or did this, or did you know he was related to so-and-so, or...
Yeah, sometimes I get pictures. A couple of weeks ago, I got a picture from a client that was there 2 years ago, and he was having dinner with some friends. And they start talking, oh, I've been to Argentina. Oh, yeah, I went to La Paz. I met Martha. And they got to know each other in a very completely different environment. And then they will send me a picture of them together. And it's just funny because they don't even live in the same area. So, you get to know a lot of people. Like a couple of years ago, a client called you and you start talking, and he said that back in the day, he went to Argentina in 2007. We were not even working together.
No.
And you said Martha, and then he was like, wait a minute, what Martha? And then he sent you a picture of me back
That's
there.
right. He and I were talking. He had called up to ask about a hunt. I guess it was Rio Salado, and I started telling him about my hostess and about this stuff. He goes, well, I was down there a long time ago. And that's right, he put 2 and 2 together, and the minute he found out that you were involved, boom, he was on board.
Yeah.
And he's still a good client. I think he's going back this year. And wow, it's just crazy how you meet people and things work out like this. what do you think that you know about hunting in Argentina that anyone that has never been, that might be coming into this show or might be listening or might be considering this trip, doesn't know that they kind of should know? Is there any most people go into a restaurant and all they see is the plate of food in front of them, the table, the up front part. Martha and I get to go in the back. We see what's going on back in the kitchen, and we kind of know a little bit about how the menu is prepared and how everything is done. And I'm just curious, Martha, is there anything any observations you've made over the years, over the time, with all your experience, that you think everybody considering going to Argentina should know that they might not? That makes sense.
Well, as I said before, I babysit hunters, so I'm always worried about them. Some people think that going to Argentina is the same as being here in America, and it's not.
Yeah.
But my main concern is when they arrive to BA, Buenos Aires, and they are by themselves. They arrive earlier. I may be at the field, and they expect everybody to be nice. Sometimes Argentinians are nice, sometimes they're not. So that worries me a little bit.
That's not just Argentina, that's the world. That's people. That's a lot of the U.S. You go into a city.
So I always try to keep them safe. Like, okay, where are you going to be? Where are you going to stay? And details like that. But then when you go to Argentina and you go hunting, the places I host, what I think is that if they are looking for a familiar environment, they can come to La Paz. They will feel like at home, and it's not just hunting. It's just, enjoying your time in a family environment. And then Rio Salado, it's, I'm not a hunter, but I've been to the blind several mornings, and I can feel the excitement that hunters feel. And it's something different that everybody will really enjoy, will really appreciate, especially real duck hunters.
Real duck hunters. We're going to film the next project that Jake and I go to film down in Argentina is going to be La Paz. That is really that's the hunt you and I started working on back when it's a combo, duck, dust, pigeon, perdiz, and fishing. But what really makes that hunt special, what I hear so much from hunters that have been and are going back, the hunting's great, but it's the people. It's you, but it's also the staff. And you and I were talking about that yesterday, about how almost like magic. You've got Karen and Valdo, Santiago and his wife, Diego and his wife.
Pasho and his wife.
Gosh, how many? The guides are all brothers and cousins and uncles, and they're just real hunters. And it
they get a lot of pressure because they want to provide the best to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But once the hunt is done and we see that everybody got their limit, that everybody's happy, it's like a party. You gotta see them dancing in the middle of the marshland, in the middle of rice fields. It's like
Santiago giving dancing lessons at lunch. Or Elvis Presley himself. I think I would sum it up, and I think it's partly what captivated me with that particular hunt that was so transformational for our business. Was it's a level of sincerity that I had not ever seen in working, especially in Argentina, but around the world. It was a level of sincerity and genuine interest. It's like I had a doctor client there one time, a very good friend now, but he could hunt anywhere in the world he wants to hunt.
Yeah.
And has. But he was telling me about one night in between groups or something, it was just he and his son eating dinner, and they brought us food out and served it. And very, very good, very, very good food. And the staff was in the back, and they would not come and join him because he was a client. And so he and his son picked up their plates and went to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And sat down at the table. And he said, Ramsey, I know it was inappropriate, but we've been there 4 days, man. These people were family. We felt like family. We didn't want to eat at the kids' table. We wanted to eat with our family.
They didn't. I was gone with the rest of the team. I was taking them back to BA, and they stayed for a couple of days. And the people at La Paz, they don't speak English, so they didn't know how to communicate with the clients. But after a couple of minutes, they were like all, sitting at the table, having a conversation in Spanglish, I guess, and they were laughing and having fun. They were sending me texts and pictures when I was gone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it's 9 o'clock, and I'm seeing a wall of people starting to trickle in through the front door, and it's going to get busy down here. I really look forward to this time of year. I love convention. I've got some other great guests lined up to meet with, guys. Thank y'all for listening. If you've not yet met my friend and business partner Martha Ciaffoni, I hope that one day you can.
I'll babysit you.
She'll babysit you, and if she's babysitting you, you've shot a lot of birds that day. It may be ducks, doves, pigeons, perdies, or it may be more ducks than you've ever dreamed of. But you've had a good day, I promise you, guys. Y'all can connect with Martha at Martha Ciaffoni on Instagram, and that's 2 F's and 1 N on Ciaffoni. Martha Ciaffoni, spelled just like it sounds. And of course, I'm Ramsey Russell, Get Ducks. Y'all tune in. We'll be live streaming like we do around the world because it is duck season somewhere. See y'all next time. Duck Season Somewhere is produced by Ben Page. Original soundtrack by our friend Cody Huggins.